Hello everyone, my name is HBricks, and in today's video I will show you all the LEGO Marvel Cinematic Universe villains that have ever been made by LEGO. So guys, let's jump straight into the video. Now, I'll be going over all the main Marvel villains throughout the MCU's history, starting all the way back in 2008's Iron Man and going up all the way to Shang-Chi. So, going for phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll only be going over the main villains because if I go over every single henchman and every single guy that was technically a villain, this video would be an hour long. So, I'm only going to go over the main ones. I might do a couple other guys. We'll see. Anyway, I'll be briefly going over the characters that we've not seen in LEGO, and at the end of the video, I'll tally all the villains that we've gotten in LEGO form and the ones we've not. You know what, let's just start the video with the first movie, 2008's Iron Man. And although this movie came out in 2008, LEGO actually did make a villain, and this is Ironmonger, or Obadiah Stane. And this minifigure came out in 2021 in the Ironmonger Mayhem set. And this is from the Infinity Saga line. It's pretty cool that we're getting a villain from the first Iron Man movie. While he definitely isn't my favorite villain, it's still cool that we're getting older villains, and I hope we do see more villains from Phase 1. Moving on to the 2008 Incredible Hulk. Now, in this, the main villain was Abomination, and we have not seen any official LEGO version. And it's handy that I started recording this now because just recently the Shang-Chi trailer has dropped, and you can actually see Abomination in that trailer. So he's actually made 2 appearances, not only in the Hulk, but in Shang-Chi as well. So that's really cool to see. I would really love to see a LEGO version of Abomination. I'm really ashamed that we haven't gotten one. Hopefully a big fig soon, sometime. Anyway, let's move on to Iron Man 2 in 2010. And in that, we saw 2 villains. We saw Whiplash. We didn't get an official version of him. I really hope we do. He's quite a cool minifigure. He's quite a cool character, and I hope we do get him in LEGO. Now, we also got Justin Hammer, who is kind of like the second villain in that movie. Now, we have not gotten an official MCU version of Justin Hammer. However, we have got a version of Justin Hammer, a comic book version, or Detroit Steel is what he's commonly known as, and he came in this 2017 LEGO set. Anyway, those are the villains from Iron Man 2, and I don't really think we need a version of Hammer. We don't really need a more accurate MCU version. However, I would like to see Whiplash. That would be pretty cool. Moving on, we have Thor, and the obvious villain of that was Loki, and we have gotten plenty of Lokis. Since Loki makes quite a lot of appearances throughout the MCU, I'm going to go over all of his appearances right now just to get him out of the way. Anyway, the 2 versions that we've got are from 2012 with the Avengers wave and from Thor Ragnarok in 2017. And here are all the sets he came in. He actually came in quite a lot of sets, 5 in total. Moving on to Captain America, the First Avenger in 2011. And the main villain of this movie was obviously the Red Skull. Now, we have not gotten any official LEGO MCU version like Justin Hammer in Iron Man 2. However, we have gotten plenty of Red Skulls. And I honestly think we don't need an official MCU version of the Red Skull since he has appeared in plenty of sets. We've got him in a 2014 set, a 2016 set, and a 2020 set. So he has appeared a few times throughout the decade. And we've gotten plenty of different versions of him. I don't think any MCU version is required for Red Skull. Now, the next movie is the Avengers, but I'm going to be skipping over that movie because the main villain in that was Loki, and we already went over Loki. So I'm going to go straight to Iron Man 3 in 2013, and the main villain in that movie was the Mandarin. Well, sort of. It was kind of advertised as the main villain, but in the end, he actually wasn't. Anyway, he comes in 2 sets. The second villain in that movie was Aldrich Killian, and he came in this set here. Moving on to Thor the Dark World in 2013, I'm really glad LEGO did not make a minifigure of this. This is Malekith. Now, this is really just such a boring movie, and definitely the weakest out of all the MCU movies, and I'm quite glad LEGO didn't waste their time in making a new minifigure for Malekith, and I'm glad they just skipped over him. Moving on to Captain America the Winter Soldier, the main villain of that was Bucky, or the Winter Soldier. And since Bucky does make the change from a villain to a hero, we do get him quite a few times throughout the year. Predominantly, we get him in 2016 in Captain America Civil War. However, we also got him in a promotional polybag, as well as a Bricktober pack in 2018. So he actually comes in 4 sets, technically. Moving on to Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014, and we got Ronan. he came in the Milano set. And we also got Nebula, who also changed from hero to villain like Bucky, and she had 3 appearances and came in 3 different sets. A couple of my favorite sets, actually. The Milano there is really cool. Moving on to 2015's Avengers Age of Ultron, and we obviously got Ultron, the main villain there. He has definitely quite a few appearances, and I mean, you could really say all the Ultron drones were kind of him as well, since he can really switch to any drone. However, I'm not going to be covering those. He comes in 3 sets here. Some of my favorite Marvel sets, the Hulkbuster, Quinjet, and Stark Towers, were all really good sets in my opinion. Moving on to Ant-Man in 2015, we had Yellow Jacket. Quite a cool minifigure, and he came in that set there. Then we had Captain America Civil War, and the main villain, I would say, was probably Zemo, although it really was a movie just about Captain America versus Iron Man. Zemo did make his first debut in that movie, and he has appeared in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And if LEGO were to ever make this minifigure again, I would much prefer LEGO to make his Falcon and Winter Soldier outfit, just because that version has the purple mask and the fur, and that looks much better. And I really hope we do get a minifigure of Zemo, since he was really cool in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I really did like his performance. Anyway, moving on, we have Doctor Strange. And unfortunately, we did not get any villains in LEGO form. We were missing Caecilius, which had no official LEGO version, which is unfortunate. And we were also missing Dormammu, who had no official LEGO version. Now, I know it's pretty hard to do Dormammu in LEGO. I don't know how they would do that, but I included him here because LEGO has not attempted to make a Dormammu minifigure, but I don't really expect them to. Moving on to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in 2017. Now, this one is a real shocker to me. We had Ego, who was the main villain in that movie, and we have received no official LEGO version, which is really a shame because he's one of my favorite villains throughout the MCU. I have a custom LEGO Infinity Saga set video coming up shortly, and in that I have a few ideas of what LEGO could do to make him in a set. Because of the new Infinity Saga line, I really hope we get to see Ego in a set sometime soon in 2022 or something like that. He's just a really cool minifigure. I would love to see him in a LEGO set, and I also thought he was a really cool villain. Anyway, moving on, we have Spider-Man Homecoming in 2017, and in that we had the Vulture, and he came in that set there. Then we had Thor Ragnarok, and the main villain there was Hela, and she came in that set there. Quite a cool head mold she has. I was debating whether to put the Grandmaster here. He was kind of a villain, not really a villain. I didn't put him on this list. Anyway, then we have Black Panther in 2018 with Killmonger, and gosh, this is definitely when Marvel steps up their villains. Killmonger is such an awesome villain. He has 2 appearances there, and he came in these 2 sets here. We also had Claw, and he came in that set there. Next up, we have Avengers Infinity War. Now, I decided to put all of these villains just in one spot since I can go over their names, but they're not really the main villains of the movie. Thanos was obviously the main villain of Infinity War, but I decided to include these guys nevertheless. We have Ebony Maw, Proxima Midnight, Corvus Glaive, they're all in there, and here are all the sets they come in. And obviously the main villain of Avengers Infinity War was Thanos, and he's had 3 MCU appearances, all big figs, and he comes in these 3 sets here. Next up, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp, and the villain here is Ghost, and she was quite a boring villain, nothing too exciting about her. Here's the set she came in. Then we had Captain Marvel in 2019, and this was really hard for me to do. I put the Skrull and the Kree here, since I don't really know the villain here. I mean, we did get the Skrull Talos in a LEGO version. However, he turned out to not be the main villain of the show, and it was actually the Kree, so I don't really know the villain situation here. However, I decided to just put both of these on the slide here. Let's just move on to the next movie. Oh yeah, now I decided to skip Avengers Endgame since I already went over Thanos. Now here we have Spider-Man Far From Home in 2019, and the main villain that we got here was obviously Mysterio, and he came in these 3 sets here, all of the sets from the Spider-Man wave actually. That was pretty cool. Now, moving on from Phase 3 to Phase 4, we have Black Widow, a movie that hasn't come out yet at the time of recording. This is in 2021, and the main villain here is Taskmaster. And I'm really hoping that Marvel does a good job on Taskmaster, since when he was portrayed in the comics and the animated TV show, he was quite awesome, and he comes in these 2 sets here, a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive set as well, which is pretty cool. Next up, we have Shang-Chi, a movie that also hasn't come out yet, is the Mandarin, the real Mandarin this time, not the fake one from Iron Man. Anyway, this minifigure I'm really disappointed in. I really wish they could do something with his face and hairpiece. The torso and leg printing really cool, but the overall minifigure kind of disappointing. Anyway, guys, those are all the MCU villains. Here, I've only shown one version of each character, so I only have one version of Thanos and Loki. There aren't like dozens of them. Anyway, those are all the MCU characters. Here's a little list I made. So overall, there are 30 characters in total, so 30 villains. We are missing 9 MCU versions of characters, so like Abomination, Whiplash, Ego, those characters we've never gotten Lego form. But in total, we have received 25 MCU villains in Lego, which is actually pretty cool. So out of 34, 25 of them have been made into Lego. And personally, I own 13 out of 25, which I thought was pretty cool. I didn't know that until doing this list. Anyway, guys, those are all the villains there. I'm really hoping that we get a version of Zemo or Ego sometime in the future. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to subscribe, like, do all that stuff. And with everything said, have a great day.